Oh, they only play backup quarterbacks. Oh, they just get lucky. Well, suck it, baby. Woo-hoo-hoo. You see that? Yes, 20-17. Jets win. They just beat the Super Bowl favorite. They just beat the MVP favorite, Josh Allen. Yes, sir. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Go.
I mean, come on, baby. What does it not say right there itself? Welcome to the postgame show. I'm Paul Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. And we're streaming live simultaneously in 3 different places. The Heavy on Jets Facebook page, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25, and of course, on the Twitter account, @BoyGreen25 as well. This is an interactive program, everybody. So get on the friggin' show and comment where you'd like, the Facebook, the YouTube, or wherever you'd like. We'll be on for the next hour and change here on the show. And oh my, see, this is the beautiful thing about football. The Jets were the largest home underdog since 2007. The largest home underdog since 2007. And I tweeted out that stat from ESPN. I said, wow, that's kind of a funny stat. And Bills fans flooded my mentions. They flooded my mentions and said, yeah, it's surprising because it should be more. It's not surprising because your quarterback is cheeks. Your quarterback sucks. That's what I kept getting. Hey, you guys are going to be okay at 5-4 in the bye. It's assumed you guys are getting the L. You guys suck. You guys stink. Oh, do we? Do we stink? Interesting. Yeah, who won again? Oh, yeah, the New York Jets. What a freaking statement win. Because I'll tell you this is something else that bothered me. I always thought that New England Patriot fans were the worst. I hated the Patriot fans. I got a lot of Patriot fans in my family. My father was born in Gardner, Mass. My mother was born in Rhode Island. My fiance is a Bostonian. So I've got a lot of Boston around me. And, so I got a lot of New England around me. So I always thought they were the worst. Like they always, again, the Jets, of course, lost to New England a lot, Tom Brady and all that crap. But I got to tell you, Buffalo Bills fans, they're disgusting. And I don't want to kind of lop them all together here, but the very loud minority, and it felt like a lot because I was getting raided with comments over the weekend. The Bills just a couple of years ago had gone 17 years without a playoff appearance, let alone a win. A playoff appearance, 17-year drought. Now all of a sudden, Buffalo fans are these arrogant, cocky, kind of walking in saying, oh, we're going to run through you. Jets stink. And I think the worst criticism, and I don't think every Jets fan in here that you guys were all talking about, I don't think every Jets fan felt this way, but I'm going to be honest. There was a quiet little voice in the back of my head that did. The Jets heading into this game were 5-3. Of course, better than anyone could have possibly imagined at this point in the season. Even the most optimistic, yours truly, the self-proclaimed most optimistic Jet fan on the planet, I said maybe if you squint before the year, you could get to 5-4 before the bye and you're in a great spot. They're 6-3. So I thought before the season, though, that, 5-4, maybe you're in a really good position. And I said, that's great. But at 5-3, there was a lot of criticism from the outside, from the national media, from local media, and fans in general. Well, you're 5-3, but you beat up on bad teams. The Jets did. You beat up on backup quarterbacks. The Jets did. Even the one quarterback you did beat, Aaron Rodgers, well, the Packers are trash, and Aaron Rodgers sucks. Okay. So there's a lot of questions about the Jets 5-3. Now, I will say on the whole, most Jet fans said, screw you people. We've had one gosh darn winning season the last 11 years. We don't give a flying hoot how these wins come. Wins are wins, baby. And I was really in that camp, I will be honest with you. But I can't lie. I have to be honest. That's who I am at my core, okay? I will be honest, there's a little voice in the back of my head that was annoying, quite frankly, when fans said, well, your record is phony. You're fake. It's an inflated record. You're the most fraudulent 5-3 team of all time. All of these comments are real. And by the way, I have a couple receipts on the Twitter account, @BoyGreen25, if you'd like to delve into that. And I'm going to be honest, it bothered me. So as Bills fans were talking crap all week long, as Bill fans were saying, you're fraudulent, you're fake, we're the team that's winning the division, we're the team that's doing all these brilliant things, I said in the back of my head, you know what? I hope we freaking beat the Bills. I hope we upset the Buffalo Bills at home and people can shut the hell up. And I predicted it earlier on Twitter this week that the Jets were going to beat the Bills. I was calling it. And that not one gosh darn person, not one gosh darn anybody was giving the Jets a lick of a chance at home against the Buffalo Bills. And the Buffalo Bills, by the way, the consensus Super Bowl favorite before the year and heading into this game. Consensus Super Bowl favorite. Josh Allen, the consensus MVP quarterback. And guess what? The Jets defense, was that real enough for you? Was that real enough for you? Oh, Joshy. By the way, let's pull up some of the numbers for old Josh Allen. By the way, 205 passing yards, 2 picks, sacked 5 times. Oh, is that real enough for you? Sure, he had 86 yards rushing. Sure, he got us a couple of times in the run game. But was that real enough? Bills fans, not. Is that fake? Is that fake news? So screw Bills fans. Screw all of you. Screw all the gosh darn Buffalo nonsense of chirp, 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 chirp. Coming in. Guess what? The Jets are for real. You heard it at the beginning of the video, my immediate raw reaction to all of this. The Jets are for real. So stop your whining about backup quarterbacks. Stop your whining about Jets beating up on bad teams. What about the Jets injuries? They did this without Breece Hall, Rookie of the Year. They did this without Elijah Vera Tucker, All-Pro. Look at all these pieces the Jets were missing. Is anyone whining about the Jets injuries? Heck no, they're not. Apparently that doesn't fit the narrative, perhaps out there. So I'm sorry to start this with such heat, such passion. But Bills fans were so annoying this week. So take this L, hold it for me, and suck it, pal. Suck it, okay? Hold that L, savor the flavor, enjoy it. Because the Jets beat the Bills. It's a statement victory not only for the Jets season that they're for real, but they're legitimate. Not just legitimate playoff contenders, they're straight up legit. So I had to get that off my chest. Thank you. Jets, of course, win this game, 20-17. I'm out of breath a little bit, but of course, this is an interactive show. I want to celebrate with each and every one of you. Comments on the game, questions, topics, anything is all on the friggin' table right now. And we're going to be going through a couple of things. I'm going to randomly bring up a couple of notes that I have. First off, in the middle of this game, it felt like if you wanted to throw out the term, it could only happen to the Jets or that kind of notion. Let's stay there. Okay, let's go through a couple of things. So Jets' offense is moving and grooving. Woohoo! Okay, we're moving down the field. Oh, wait, there's a sky cam down. What? What do you mean there's a sky cam down? Oh, boy, we have a unprecedented delay. Sorry, Jets offense that's moving and grooving. And then, of course, the Jets offense implodes. Connor Hughes had the tweet like the fumble, the this, the that, the this, the that. I mean, come on. I mean, for goodness sake, I can't even remember what that was simply it. That, of course, the Jets. Quinnen Williams on the sideline gets sideswiped by a random Jets player. He's not even on the field. And he gets sideswiped and he's lying on the ground. I'm like, oh no. Of course, only the Jets could catch a stray bullet on the sideline. So there's a lot of moments that Zach Wilson gets hurt. He's laying on his back. You're like, oh no, not this, not another injury. Because all the DJ Reed goes down holding his knee. You're like, oh, sweet jeez. Sweet jeez, hello. What could this be? So I'll tell you that throughout this game, there were several moments where you're like, can the Jets catch a freaking break here? What are we talking about? And guess what? They overcome all that malarkey and they deliver when it matters most. I got to say, on that final drive for the New York Jets, okay, so they have an opportunity. It's tied at 17-all. And the Jets say, we're going to run the football down your throat, Buffalo, and there's not a gosh darn thing they could do about it. Boom, boom, boom. Michael Carter, little J-Rob action. Sprinkle that in, baby. And then, for all the Zach Wilson critics out there, when you needed him most, on a key third down, right ahead of the 2-minute warning, Zach Wilson goes to his man, his boy, Denzel Mims. And by the way, I have to share that clip. You guys can check out my Twitter account for all kinds of wonderful clips from after the game, from both Zach Wilson, Robert Saleh, and all the like. And we'll be playing a few of them here throughout the show. We won't play all of them, I'm sure. But if you guys would like to kind of dabble in a couple of those, feel free. Here's one on Zach Wilson talking about that key pass, which again changed the entire time dynamic for the Jets to convert or else they would have kicked a field goal, but not 2017, but would have left the Buffalo Bills all of their timeouts, and it would have been an interesting situation. Of course, they don't even have to worry about it because Zach Wilson delivered on this clutch throw to Denzel Mims. Here's Zach Wilson after the game talking about that connection with Denzel Mims and that play specifically.
Right, yeah. I mean, we had a couple RPO things, mainly in the beginning. A lot of those other ones were some quick passes. That one with Mims, though, thinking I was getting man coverage there, which we ended up, getting. They were starting to play with Garrett a little bit, try and send the other safety over there. So, when it comes down to crunch time, who's your big body guy that's going to get separation and come down with a play? And, great separation by him and then pulling it in. Huge play by him to show up in crunch time.
What universe am I in right now? Zach Wilson says at the end of the game, he says, who do you have to go to in the clutch? Of course, it's got to be my guy, Denzel Mims. Denzel Mims, the former Baylor product, the former second-round pick, the guy who requested a trade, that Denzel Mims? What world are we living in? I got to pinch myself. Of course, in the clutch, I got to go to checks notes. Denzel Mims? Okay, Denzel. Phenomenal. Spectacular. Wow. I mean, zooey mama. And Denzel, with the physical, kind of outbodies the defender, going for that rebound catch, which again was pivotal and cranking out the other timeouts from Buffalo. I mean, wow. Holy cannoli. I mean, spectacular. Wow. Denzel Mims, that is just juicy, baby, and phenomenal. So again, their ability to just run the football. They don't have Breece Hall. They don't have Elijah Vera Tucker, their best running back and best offensive lineman. It didn't matter. James Robinson, say hello, who did not go down on first contact, which is a great trade of Michael Carter, and just ran the ball down their throat, and Buffalo couldn't do a gosh darn thing about it. That, to me, mwah, chef's kiss. And Zach Wilson, sure, he wasn't perfect, obviously. He finished up with 18 and 25, 154 yards, 6.2 a clip, had the one touchdown to the names escape me. I think it was Michael Carter, maybe, who was on the receiving end of that touchdown. Oh, James Robinson. Yes, of course, the screen. James Robinson. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm all flustered here. But so Zach Wilson wasn't perfect, but there was a couple of things that I liked from Zach Wilson just to go right there for a moment. First off, I loved how he just delivered the entire game. There was a miss or two here or there. There's some pressure on the Braxton Berrios flip, the little flare out, little wind up. Okay, he missed that one. Obviously, Denzel Mims on a key third down where he threw it a little high, and I tweeted about it during the game that, obviously Zach Wilson could have, kind of hovered that trajectory a little lower, but it hit Mims in the hands. And again, Mims, you want to see him do a great job and just try to make a spectacular catch. But obviously, Zach Wilson could have made it easier. But the other thing that I love, and sometimes it doesn't show up in the box score, old Zach Wilson taking the green grass in front of him. He had 5 carries for 24 yards. Again, that's not going to be a SportsCenter top 10 highlight, but a couple of times in key situations, nothing's there. Okay, I'll take the grass. Now, I think still in his head, there's a couple of extra jukes he wants to do. Again, I'm just cool taking the green grass and sliding. But either way, I mean, Zach Wilson showing a little life, showing a little wheels, baby. Vroom, vroom. I mean, spectacular. So that was something I really like from Zach. And again, just if you want to call it game manager football, he did exactly what the team needed. He threw a couple of go-go balls, which were juicy, getting it over to Garrett Wilson. By the way, Garrett Wilson, G-dub. I mean, this kid's got spectacular hands. He's got wiggle, sometimes too much wiggle, where he catches the ball. He's trying to do too much east-west, just go north and south, and that kind of hurt him a few times. But you sacrifice that because of the spectacular that he brings to the table and the ability to just make people miss. I mean, he is special. And just imagine what else he's going to be as he continues to develop and evolve. I mean, whoa. GW, I mean, oh my. He's got some, I mean, he's just got a little shake and bake, a little whoop, whoop. Well, And oh yeah, Garrett Wilson, he is the real friggin' deal, man. I love Garrett Wilson. So he was spectacular in this game. Obviously, Michael Carter did very well. James Robinson, shout out. One more I definitely have to get to. So Sauce gets the pick, of course. He was special. DJ Reed with the great pass deflection late. But I have to shout out one more here and welcome back officially to Jermaine gosh darn Johnson, the former Florida State product. He's one-on-one. It's mano-a-mano with Josh Allen in a key moment late in the game. Josh Allen rolls out. It's one-on-one with him and Jermaine Johnson. Either Josh Allen could truck through him as he's trucked through other defenders before he could stiff arm him, whoop out the way, and it's all Josh Allen down the right sideline. But instead, Jermaine Johnson does a spectacular move, and he brings him down to the turf, crashing down to the canvas. What a wow. That play still doesn't get enough love. What a big-time play by Jermaine Johnson. Perhaps he will be the Rookie of the Week this week, or or what have you, maybe Garrett Wilson or Sauce. The fact that we have options is just special. So, man, just whoo. Okay, that's phenomenal. All right, everybody, we're going to dive into some comments here because I could just talk about the game all day and ramble, but I want to get you guys involved. Again, this is a show by the fans for the fans. So feel free to get involved. Again, the YouTube Super Chat feature, if you're on the YouTube channel and you have a little change in your tin cup and you'd like to share it with the show and show your support, I'd really appreciate it. It means the world to us. So it's available on YouTube. Again, just hop in there. If you don't have the funds, not everyone does, and that's okay. How about do something for free? You can like the video right now and hit subscribe down below. That is a free thing anyone that's watching right now can do to support the show. Again, like the video, hit subscribe, and show your support. I see we just got a YouTube Super Chat in, so let's bring it. Chris K. the Fifth hopping on with us. Thank you, Chris, and thank you so much, man. This is awesome. First 3 minutes had me worried. In the end, we silenced Allen and Diggs like no one else had, and the offense kept up. Great game. Love you all and this team. Yeah, let's talk about that, obviously. So they're showing the angle at the beginning of the game, and I just think to myself, before Brain Man goes to kick off, I'm like, you know what? Would the Jets, because I was exploring this week. We had Sal Capaccio, the Buffalo Bills sideline reporter, on the show earlier this week, and I said, man, again, the Jets are the biggest home underdog since 2007. Okay, the Bills are the Super Bowl favorite at the beginning of the year and still now. I don't know how it's affected by this Jets loss, but heading into this game, they were a Super Bowl favorite. So with them being a Super Bowl favorite and all this, I openly asked fans and everybody, would the Jets go tricky here? Would they try a fake punt? I'm talking about this earlier in the week, like an onside kick, a fake punt, like do something to flip and play lights out, and Bills don't play lights out. Like maybe that can be the difference. Now, obviously, so I was thinking it, and then I saw him kind of kick it, and it kind of this weird poot squib that kind of goes there, and I'm like, wow. So I guess I was right, but he just slipped, and then it just bloop, and then the ball goes right there. Bills immediately do a pump and go on Sauce Gardner, and boom, Stephon Diggs rips and deep, and you're like, oh boy, Bills are moving down the field like this. This could be an issue, and then the Jets make a play, and that's really what they've done all season when they've needed it. Jordan Whitehead jumps in front of Dawson Knox, pick, baby. You're like, oh, whoa. This isn't how these games are supposed to go. So, of course, to your point, Chris, it was a wayward start in front of a MetLife crowd that had a lot of Bills fans there. Depending on how that game starts and moves and grooves, Bills punch in a score, maybe things go differently. So, again, we talk about these pivot points in games. Again, the New England pick six, not pick six, and then the momentum flips. Like, it's very interesting how these plays can kind of roll into one another. So, no question about it. I mean, the Jets did what they had to do, and so did the defense. I mentioned it with Sal that, like, to beat this Bills team, you got to outscore them. And to be honest, the Jets held the Bills to their lowest scoring output of the season, 17 points. Heading in, their only other lowest total was 19 points. That was their lowest heading in. There was a week 3 loss to the Miami Dolphins. They only had one loss on the season. That was to the Dolphins. Now they're 0-2 in the division, by the way. That could come up later. Oh, boy, the Jets haven't – I don't want to get too crazy, but this is the perfect place for it. The Jets haven't won the AFC since 2002, 20 years ago. I'm just saying, maybe, I don't know. We're heading to the bye week. Let's have some fun, baby. We're going to have a lot of juice this week. So, woo-wee. I'm going to be that fan. Those fans that buy like the AFC East hat, AFC East shirt, and like some people like that win the division all the time kind of go like, hey, whatever, I don't buy that. Oh, I'm buying it. I'm getting in if that happens. So I'm looking forward to that. So Chris, thank you so much for the comment. It was really good. This is phenomenal. Frank, you bring up a great point. Mims should play over Elijah Moore. I don't have the snap count in front of me, but Frank, man, Elijah Moore did not get targeted. I didn't really even notice him much, to be honest with you. When he was in, I went, oh, there's Elijah, and then he wasn't. So, we'll just see how this develops. Again, obviously the Jets are working with what they have. Garrett Wilson is spectacular. Denzel Mims obviously earned some PT. Corey Davis still out for this game. Well, he's expected to come back for the bye. The bye comes at a great time. The Jets should get some guys back, like Max Mitchell, although I thought the Jets offensive line played really good today, but getting Mitchell back should help at right tackle, where Big Ced had a few issues. I think that was the Von Miller strip sack was on Cedric Ugboehi. But yeah, in terms of Elijah Moore, didn't really notice him. We'll see what develops. Again, there's no extra trade deadline. The trade deadline's over. So Elijah Moore's on the team for the rest of the year, and maybe that changes in the offseason. It's probably best outside of the Jets getting some wild offer at the trade deadline. And to me, that wild offer that I would have then thought about is a first-round pick. Anything less than a first-round pick, I would have hung up the phone on Elijah Moore. I think he's too talented, and he doesn't seem to be a cancer in the locker room and throwing things around. He seems to be in a much better mood lately, which is great. So, yeah, we'll see how this Elijah Moore thing develops. Obviously, they're winning without him. They won without him in Denver, obviously. Obviously, New England didn't go their way, but I think that's one they let get away that they shouldn't have. And then, obviously, you have this Buffalo game. So they're winning despite what's happening there from that standpoint. So it'll be interesting to see. But Denzel Mims has balled out, and it's really exciting to see. I really love that. JETS Chance. Kevin, welcome to the show. Thank you. Oh, yeah. How did we forget that, Gary? Great point. Bryce freaking Huff. The strip sack on Josh Allen. And in general, this speaks to the trade deadline move that perhaps didn't get the love that it deserved. Jacob Martin gets shipped to the Denver Broncos. So Jacob Martin and a 5th-round pick for a 4th-round pick. You may say, okay, they saved a little money. What do I care? I'm a fan. Like, what does it all mean? Like, they're basically waving the white flag on a pass rusher that they signed to a multi-year deal in free agency. How big of a deal is that? And really the sneaky deal that it was opening up reps for other guys like cough, Bryce Huff, who somehow was a healthy scratch for like the first 3 games of the season. Unexplainable. The analytics on Bryce Huff's get off is spectacular. You need to get this guy in the field. He continues to show why. He's a guy that I want to sign to an extension. Quinton Williams. Oh my, 7 sacks, tying a career high already. And we're halfway through the freaking season. I mean, this dude is a freaking freak. And Bryce Huff giving the business, man. What a special player. And man, how was he not playing earlier? I just don't understand. Jose Garcia, how high will our ranking be after the win? 5? Oh, in terms of NFL power ranking, probably. I mean, I haven't been, to be honest with you. I normally pay more attention to this. I don't normally pay attention, or I have in the past, but not this year, really. The NFL power rankings. I've kind of hovered where Jets are at 15, 18, somewhere in there. But yeah, I mean, when you beat the Buffalo Bills and you have the record the Jets have at 6-3, I mean, everything's in front of you. I love the legitimacy and the validation that is all there. So that's good to see. So we'll see. But yeah, top 5. We'll have to see how the other games go. Again, I'm totally turned off. I leave my phone on Do Not Disturb during the Jets game, and I just enjoy the game. And then I'll check like fantasy on breaks or stuff. But as soon as the game comes back on, boop, and then I come over to write articles and do shows like I'm doing right now. So I'll have to kind of get a full evaluation of the league with the Sunday night show and everything else to get a full scope. But yeah, top 5 is certainly on the table for sure. Oh, we got another YouTube super chat in here again. This is available a special color. You get a big shout out, of course, on the show. Try to get to all your comments. Pooch Guy, let's effing go. Love the content, brother. Can you imagine if Breece ABT were on the field? Yikes. And I think that's the way to do it, guys, is that it's a credit to this coaching staff, first and foremost, that when guys fall, and I know it's cliche and people roll their eyes, next man up. I mean, next man up. These, for past Jet teams, would be crippling, devastating losses that are the reason why they're not getting to point A, B, or C. Elijah Vera-Tucker, All-Pro. Breece Hall, Pro Bowler, and probably Offensive Rookie of the Year without question. So you look at some of these guys in key, pivotal pieces. Mekhi Becton goes down before the year. Tough. You look at all these injuries that the Jets have suffered all over the place. And you think about it for a second. What more could they be? And again, these guys aren't dead. Like Breece Hall is going to be back next year. AVT is going to be back next year. So all the success they have now, you can then say to yourself, oh man, just wait till these guys get back. Because yeah, you're right. Yikes. I think Michael Carter is a very serviceable player. And to have James Robinson, again, is the salt to his pepper, the yin to his yang. You're going to have this great combination, quite frankly, where you're going to be able to get the most out of them. And again, James Robinson after this year is an RFA, a restricted free agent. What does that mean for the funky people in the back of the room? He's going to be dirt cheap. So your 3-headed monster next year will be James Robinson, Michael Carter, and Breece Hall. Good luck, people. Good luck. James Robinson, super young. So you got that nice dynamic. And then AVT, from some of the things I've heard, again, I'm not a doctor. I just play one on the show sometimes. Wink, is that AVT surgery, it's only going to be season ending because he's an offensive lineman. There's no use in rushing him back. But from what I understand, he could be back in a couple of months. So he should be ready by the start of OTAs and everything else. So again, where else could they be? Credit to this coaching staff for finding ways to fight through. Like Corey Davis goes down. And in the past, when your number one receiver, based on his production he's been able to put up, the Jets fold like a tent. No folding here. Jermaine Johnson, their first rounders, been out a couple weeks. Who cares? He comes back in. Booyah. He immediately makes an impact. CJ Mosley goes down during this game. Then he comes back in. Like DJ Reed goes down. Like you have all these injuries that are happening. By the way, those latter players all came back, but you get my point. You get the gist. Is that this team is different. There's no same old Jets. This is a new era Jets. And by the way, a quick sneak peek, because again, we got another 35 minutes left in the show, so keep interacting, baby. This is juicy. I love it. New England is circled in permanent marker. Robert Saleh said it after the game today that we get New England in 2 weeks. This Jets team better be pissed. I mean pissed, because they let one escape. The Jets are better than New England. They're more talented than New England, and they're the Road Warriors undefeated on the road. So they should have no qualms with going to Foxborough after the bye with a full 2 weeks to prepare. Now, Patriots also have a bye after their game against Indianapolis this week. So their byes are at the same time. So it's the same advantage, disadvantage, so to speak. But that's what I've circled. And if I am the Jets, and I am a Jets fan, it's not even about, so the Jets are 6-3, beating the Patriots would be 7-3 and spectacular, and that'd be awesome, and that's all cool and hip and everything else. But that's a thing for me where I see that, and it's about just like getting one back. That's why you get these teams twice in the division. And man, I haven't tweeted this out yet, but the Jets over the last 2 years prior to this year, 0-12 in the AFC East. Guess freaking what? They are 2-1 in the AFC East, and arguably they should be 3-0. But that's for another day. They're 2-1. The Bills are 0-2 in the AFC East. And fortunately, however way you want to look at it, the Bills already had their bye week already. So technically, they are in first place by win percentage because they're 6-2. The Jets are 6-3. But the Jets are 2-1 in the division. Important. And these wins in the AFC are so critical, important as we look to the playoffs. Yeah, playoffs, baby. Oh, this is great. Phenomenal. Jin Pak, Zach Wilson said the stadium was electric today. Thank you to the fans in attendance. 100%. I heard there was a lot of Bills fans representation. Again, I wish with all my jobs that I would be able to go to every Jets game. I would have season tickets yesterday, but with all my responsibilities, that's not possible. So I have to kind of pick and choose the games that I could be at with my other Jets work obligations. But yeah, it looked electric. And man, I jumped out of my seat a million times. Jay Spector, Mims blocking is elite. It damn is, man. And that's why I think he's such a great fit. Now, he's a natural replacement for Corey Davis when he's not in the lineup. And naturally, they're kind of very similar players, both size and physicality and things of that nature. And that helps in the running game, too. He's just a bully out there. And I think the other bit of importance here in all of this is that he takes pride in that part of his game. There's a lot of wide receivers that are divas. They want to catch the ball. They want yards, targets, and catches. Elijah Moore. I digress. There's a lot of receivers that just want the gimme stats, like, oh, look at me, I'm sexy, look at my numbers. Like Denzel Mims, while I'm sure he wants the ball as any receiver does, he's like, he took a lot of pride in the physical run in Denver that opened up the Breece Hall touchdown, and that's really what you need, selfless guys. So, yeah, I really like him a lot. Let's go to Steven here. Hey, Paul, I think I texted you during the week saying that Green Bay chewed them up on the ground and spit them out last week. We absolutely wore them in the fourth quarter. They were gassed 100%. And if you think about it, Robert Saleh said this week. And Steven, I remember that nugget that you sent. I will say this, that obviously Robert Saleh brought it up that this Bills defense is very similar to the Jets in the fact that they like rushing for and rotating guys. So, you know, you can get again, it's going to take some effectiveness and good. So his offensive line, it was really the combination of everything, a commitment, of course, to the run game where the Jets have been inconsistent in that department all season long, but also that you could kind of gas them out and get after him a little bit, because I'm sure the Bills wanted to try to get up to a quick lead, force Zach Wilson to be this part of a one-dimensional offense where you pass it all over the ball yard and Von Miller goes crazy. Now, Von Miller got the strip sack, and credit to him, and they got it in a critical moment. Jets were, I think, down 14-10 at that moment, and then I think we immediately got the sauce pick, 17-14, and everything went the way it did after. But I think the commitment to the running game is important. That's the identity of this football team. I talked about in the offseason that I know everyone sees the sexy Garrett Wilsons, Corey Davises, and Elijah Moore and all these guys, but at their heart, they want to run the football. And it's similar to the Mark Sanchez era because as they were kind of, again, great defense, run game manager football, and then the hopes were that you would unlock the keys of the franchise and then Flight Crew and all those guys, Brandon Edwards, Antonio Holmes, Mark Sanchez is going to go crazy. And he had that one season where he had like 26 total touchdowns. It was like, I think it was year 3. And that's what they're hoping for Zach Wilson, is that they have a really good football team right now. And if Zach Wilson can play manager football with his sprinkles of pizzazz, that eventually when Zach Wilson starts like wheeling and dealing, the Jets are going to be this elite and crazy team, which feels great. And I think we all deserve this. JNYC 10022. We've made Josh Allen look average the last 2 times we played him. A really good sign for sure. That last one was kind of weird where the Bills were in their season, the Jets were in theirs, weather was crappy. So there's a couple of factors in there, but in general, I mean, outside of the rushing, which the Jets have to figure out because there's going to be opponents like Justin Fields coming up who ran for like 200 yards today, apparently. I kind of saw in some of the scrolling ticker stuff. So, like, he went crazy. I know because he played against me in fantasy football, but I digress. So, I mean, they're going to have to really worry for that because Justin Fields is going to do a lot of that crap against the Jets. They need to patch that up ahead of that game in a couple of weeks for sure. But, yeah, they made him look human, which is kind of crazy to think because he was an MVP candidate in this. Jacob Klein, not a good game from Zach. Please don't let this win overshadow Zach wasn't good. Jacob, I'm going to aggressively push back on this. Again, when you pull up, and I mentioned this earlier, I totally disagree. Zach Wilson did about as good as you possibly could have asked. 18 of 25. So you like the completion percentage here. 154 yards, whatever the totality. They won the game. 1 touchdown, 6.2 per clip. Again, you want that number a little higher for me personally. I like that 7+ range in that department. The 2 sacks, whatever. Some his fault, some not. And if you think about the 2 sacks, actually, so on that 3rd down play where the Jets could have just scored a touchdown instead of the field goal, that was exactly the play I would have called on the 3rd down. So you do an RPO, you roll out. If someone's open, Garrett Wilson or whoever the other receiver was on that same side, if he breaks open, you throw the touchdown and you win the game or go up a touchdown. Or you just eat the sack. So the clock keeps rolling. / you force Buffalo to use that final timeout. And then the other sack was Von Miller. Cedric Ogbuehi got beat like a mule, and Zach Wilson got sacked. So even the 2 sacks weren't Zach Wilson's fault. I mean, one of them was because it was on purpose to kind of eat the sack. The other one wasn't. So I'm going to be honest. He was super efficient passing the ball and then rushing the football, as I mentioned earlier. 5 carries, 24 yards, 4.8 a clip. So, Jacob, we're going to have to agree to disagree here. I thought it was a really solid game from Zach Wilson. Good game. I would go. Great game? No. But he did what he had to do. I mean, that's exactly what the Jets were looking for. So to say the game wasn't good, he didn't have a turnover, I don't know. Push back on that, Jacob, pretty aggressively from that standpoint. Especially coming off last week. I think he answered the bell. People were talking crap about Zach. They were calling him out in the media. The fans are saying he should be benched. We need to go to Flacco. We need to go to Mike White. And Zach Wilson responded with as good of a game as you could have hoped for against the Bills defense, which, by the way, is freaking spectacular. And I will say this, another call out to Bills people, because this was kind of annoying / noted. Was so Matt Milano, the Bills all-pro linebacker, sat out for this game. By the way, grew up a Jets fan. Good little story on that. Sal Capaccio on my YouTube channel. But Tre'Davious White, right, like he could have played in this game. Matt Milano could have played in this game. And Von Miller was weirdly questionable in the middle of the week, but he ended up playing, obviously. And I had several Bills people tell me, well, those guys can rest. We won't need them against the Jets. I went, oh, you won't. Noted. So they were without a couple of guys, but so were the Jets on offense. So, first off, those Bills people, how's that working out? So suck it. But to you, Jacob, in a very fine conversation back and forth, again, I totally disagree. I think Zach was really good. Again, great. No, he didn't throw it all over the barnyard, but he made money throws when he had to, and he didn't cause a turnover. And he took the green grass that was in front of him. I've been wanting him to do that for a long time, as far as I can remember. So on that portion, we will do that. Mike Kaz, Jets all the time. Bryce Huff works best when the offensive line for the other team has been worked over a little bit. He almost wins every time because of fresh offensive linemen. The results might be different. Maybe that's true. Maybe he's a bit of a closer, but I think he's being used fine. I don't think earlier in the year, when he was a healthy scratch, I just don't understand. To me, I don't understand why you wouldn't use him. And I guess I tried to understand because that's what they were telling us is that they played these hardcore running teams like Cleveland and Baltimore, like, bigger defensive linemen, better against the run. But then outside, so the Baltimore game that did really good against the run, Cleveland, they got ran over by Nick Chubb. So I just think you have to play your best players. Let's go to Bengus Garcia, excuse me. Hey, Boy Green, what a win. Your thoughts on the rookies, especially Johnson? Yeah, Jermaine looks spectacular. And again, I said it before, and he was playing like, I think the highest snap percentage was somewhere around 29% prior to his injury. So I said, and he was actually pretty productive. A lead against the run, and pass rush rise. He had a sack and a half going in. I think he had just 1 sack today, I think was the number. So he's at 2.5 sacks on the year. So I want to keep seeing that snap percentage increase. Again, he's coming off an injury, so that's going to be a factor here for at least some bit of time. But yeah, Jermaine Johnson looked really good. And again, that may be one of the quietest, biggest plays of the Jets game that I don't think enough people are talking about in the post-therapeutic world of talking about the game. Sauce Gardner, obviously, man, he's just so good. And I'm not going to get sick and tired of talking about it every week that he's so smart. He's lanky. He's athletic. He has a swag that is infectious to the rest of the room. Holy crap. This could be one of the best corners in football for his entire career. I mean, that's how special this guy is. So, wow. And then DJ Reed, again, a guy that in all relativity seemed like a late Jets pivot. Like, maybe we'll go Stephon Gilmore. Maybe we'll go some guy named DJ Reed. Who's DJ Reed? Who's this guy? And it sounded in the same sense when the Jets went for George Fant instead of going for Jack Conklin, where Jet fans went, hey, you cheap bastards. But you're seeing the results and believing in the construction of the team. So Sauce looked good. Let's go through them. So Breece, obviously he's hurt. I'm trying to go through all our picks. Max Mitchell looked really good. He should be coming back after the bye. There was an encouraging video shared of a workout. Michael Clemens, again, he was very good against the run, did very well in a second and short, which was very nice. And in general, he is part of that rotation, which I love a lot. So really all the draft picks, I mean, they're just doing a really this has a chance to be a foundational draft class for the New York Jets. And again, we're seeing the fruits of that labor this season and what else can possibly happen. Let's see. Anthony Joseph, what our draft pick in the first round currently? We will be picking outside linebacker, wide receiver, running back with the pick. It won't be running back again. Breece Hall is going to be back. They got James Robinson. They got Michael Carter. So no. And I will be honest, Anthony, we'll talk about this. I actually have a very special guest scheduled for the bye week. Guys, get ready for a superstar. I won't announce it yet because he's got a very busy schedule, but he's locked in pencil, but we will see with his schedule. So we got a monster guest coming up. But I'm going to be honest, as a Jets draft guy, if you guys are new to my channel or old, again, make sure you like the video, hit subscribe down below. I'm a massive draft fan. Now, is that because the Jets have stunk for a long time, so they always have high draft picks, so it makes more sense to be excited about the draft? Maybe, I don't know. But I've been a draft fan all my life. I love the draft. I love talking about it. We had a great draft offseason this past year with all kinds of superstars across the draft landscape, and that was highly humbling to have that kind of talent on the show, which I was really proud of. And you guys can go back and see any of those if you'd like. But I'm going to be honest, despite being that draft guy, despite have great guests, I've got a great Rolodex and more guys to dive into. I am so happy we have not been able to talk mock draft. Not anything. I mean, not once. I'm going to be honest. I haven't looked at a mock draft all year. Not once. Haven't looked. Haven't looked at what their needs are. Haven't looked at mock draft. This isn't trying to insult you, Anthony, with your question. I just mean it's such a special place. I'm not talking mocks. I'm not talking anything. So it's a great place to be. But to answer your question, the Elijah Moore situation kind of depends here because Corey Davis, they could move on from in the offseason. Mims, I don't know. He'll be entering his contract year in 2023. So there's a lot of kind of unknown. It very well could be a wide receiver could be in the mix from that perspective. But I would say a need you didn't mention was offensive tackle. Dwayne Brown's under contract for next year, but he's powering through not having the surgery. And I imagine the surgery in the offseason could put him out for a year. I don't know that officially, but maybe if he had the surgery as soon as the Jets season ends after they win the Super Bowl in February, wink, I'm kidding. Or am I? Who knows? But after he had the surgery, he'd be out for some period of time, and he's old. So maybe he powers through this year and retires. I could see that happening. Mekhi Becton, you don't know. Again, from everything, he looks good, should be ready for OTAs, which is awesome, but you don't know what you have there. George Fant is a free agent. Max Mitchell, you hope, can bounce back from his injury, and he's good. So Offensive tackle is a major question mark. That would probably be a pivot point. Center obviously would be a gaping hole. Connor McGovern is a free agent after this year. So offensive tackle probably would be my gut. But I'm so glad that I haven't had to talk any draft or mocks or anything. So kick that can down the road, baby. And we'll see what happens there. JNYC 122. Depth of the team is refreshing. Absolutely. It 100% is. It's great. So that feels really cool. Another one here from JNYC 122 or 100. What's that? 10,022. Excuse me. I'm old enough to remember when we never got interceptions last year. The Jets had 7 interceptions as a team last year. Now they're getting turnovers in bunches. When it rains, it pours. So again, I think that was a special sauce within itself. Pun intended. That. Creating short fields for your offense, regardless of how good or bad your offense is, getting short fields is going to put you guys in spectacular positions to make things happen. So 100%. So that to me is awesome and highly encouraging. The D line 8 today. Yeah, they ended up with 5 sacks for a loss of 22 yards. So let's give all our shout outs to the big boys. Jamian Sherwood, who stepped in for a little bit, had a half a sack. Quan Alexander, another half a sack. Quentin Williams had a sack. Bryce Huff had a sack. Jermaine Johnson had a sack. And CJ Mosley had another sack as well, which was very nice. So yes, very nice. So the defensive line was feasted, and you love to see it. Sheldon Rankins also showed a lot too, which was nice. 6-3 to scream it from the rooftops, baby. I love it. Let's keep going here. Anthony Joseph, Bills got sauced. I said that when the first sauce pick happened or any incompletion, I'm like, you got lost in the sauce. So I'm really doing that as well. JETS, baby, you damn right. You love that. Eric Schaefer, they'll beat the Patriots at home. Yeah, Patriots will be at home. Jets will be traveling to Foxborough. And I think so too. I am so ready to just, I'm just so ready to get that win. But we will enjoy the bye week. Now, normally, and I tweeted this out, normally NFL people, fans, and everything have about 24 hours and change to kind of enjoy a win. Because if you think about it, the NFL is a fast-moving thing. We got 18 weeks, 17 games to fit in those 18 weeks. Like the NFL calendar moves, so you can't really savor the flavor of a win for a long period of time. However, in this particular case, the Jets are heading into a bye week. So what great vibes for the next 2 weeks of really savoring this, but specifically for this full week before we turn the page to New England the following week. It just feels good to kind of bask in this. Keep it simple, RC. More impressive, Dolphins over Bills or Jets over Bills? Like in terms of the 2 Bills losses. Oh, I see what you're saying. Keep it simple, RC. I thought you were about to say like the Jets went over the Dolphins or the Jets went over the Bills, which also I can answer. But I would say more impressive is the Jets over the Bills, and here's why. If you look at that first Dolphins-Bills game, which, by the way, was the only other Buffalo loss this season, that was back in Week 3, there was a lot of mitigating factors that people pointed to as a weird way that they lost. For instance, the weather came up. The Bills dominated statistically, but somehow still lost. They dominated time of possession. There was a turnover in that game. So there was a lot of weird that a lot of people went, yeah, the Dolphins won, but did they? For the Jets, at least so far that I've heard, I have not heard a lot of excuses. A few Bills fans here and there are chirping about injuries and way to go, and I'm like, shut up. Jets have had all the injuries in the world, so suck it. But for the most part, the Jets just squared up and punched the Bills. They forced turnovers. They were able to cash in when it mattered most. So I would say more impressive. Even I know I'm a Jets guy. I'm wearing a Jets hat. I'm on a Jets show. I think Jets over Bills is more impressive from an NFL landscape because there's no excuses for this. There's no excuses. And in terms of my own personal feelings, again, kind of with that same breath that Dolphins had, some guy named Skylar Thompson or whatever the hell his name is playing. So people squinted at it, but still beating a divisional opponent by that many scores felt like a statement. But beating Buffalo, the Super Bowl favorite and, MVP favorite, and no one gave the Jets a chance. The Dolphins some people gave them a chance. There was that huge 0-12 drought. But, this Bills one feels good. It's so weird that, again, that the Jets can blow the New England game a week later, beat the Buffalo Bills. That's the NFL for you. And, again, you can never take wins for granted. The Jets already have, more wins than they had last year. They're in a great spot. Brady Quinn, right? 1-8 or 0-9 to start the year. guess not. So you guys could check those receipts on the YouTube, but for sure, I think that's my take. Jay Spector, how about a shout out for Nate Herbig at right guard? He's been a monster in the run game. Future line, AVT, Tomlinson, McGovern, Herbig, Mitchell. No. So, okay. I will say this, Jay. Yeah, Herbig has been great. What a great find for Joe Douglas. Another great find for sure. I don't believe that AVT will be their long-term left tackle. Maybe it's a conversation in the offseason. Again, we see how the pieces shuffle at tackle. But I just think he has a much higher ceiling at guard. I think AVT did a spectacular job just flying at left tackle, in the middle of the year. But I think he's going to be the right guard. But you do have that flexibility because of how well Herbig has played. I still think it's Lakin and AVT at the guard spots. We'll see if Connor is brought back. Again, he's a free agent after the year. Max Mitchell should be excited to get back. Then we'll see at left tackle. Maybe it's Mekhi Becton at left tackle, Lakin Tomlinson left guard, insert center. I don't know if they bring back McGovern. Maybe they do. And AVT at right guard, and then Max Mitchell right tackle, and then you have depth with Herbig. I mean, depth is never a bad thing, for sure. Ragnar Jet, playoffs, baby. Have to absolutely stick it to Belichick. He's on Zach and every player's revenge list. He's certainly on mine. Again, it just really bothers me. Because Belichick just bothers me. I don't know how else to say it. So yeah, he's on my revenge list. Beating them at all would be great, but like pummeling them would be very juicy, and I hope that happens. Anthony Joseph here. Yo, Paul, who would you rather face in the Super Bowl, the Minnesota Vikings or the Philadelphia Eagles? First off, I love that we've reached this first world problem of picking who we're playing in the Super Bowl. Well, the Jets will get their whack of the Vikings in a handful of weeks, so I'll be intrigued to see. Speaking of fraudulent teams, a lot of people have questioned the Vikings' validity throughout this year. We'll see. The Vikings have a very talented team: Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, Alexander Mattison, Captain Kirk Cousins. So we'll have that little revenge game of like Kirk Cousins using the Jets as money, kind of set up. And they got some talented players on defense too. So we'll see. But I'd rather play the Eagles right now, honestly, because, again, first off, the Jets have never beaten the Eagles, which is also weird. So that'd be kind of cool to get over that hump. And I just love that we're talking about this. This is awesome. So Brian Goldstein here. Why isn't Moore featured more? Is he playing hard or taking plays off? I don't know if all those things are – what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think all those things are mutually exclusive. So why isn't Moore being featured? To be honest, how could it not be – whining, stomping your feet, essentially throwing a temper tantrum in the middle of winning and making a selfish move in front of your team. So I think it's a point to highlight the guys that actually have been giving it for the team. Denzel Mims, even though he requested a trade himself, he's just been putting his head down. And Robert Sauce said a switch flipped like 3 weeks ago. So rewarding the guys that have put in the work, and that, like, how would it look to your team if Elijah Moore whines and complains and then you start feeding him the ball like crazy, even if he's making plays? Like, what kind of message does that send? Oh, now I can whine to get what I want. I think that sends a bad message. So I think, to be candid, I think that's one of the reasons, despite whatever the coaching staff is saying, I think that's one of the reasons that they don't want to reward that kind of petulant behavior. Is he playing hard or taking plays off? To me, I think that there can be separate beings. And what I mean by that is, when Elijah Moore is off the field, he's being influenced by, I think, questionable people like A.J. Brown or agents or whatever to try to do the selfish move. I think Elijah Moore is being incredibly diva-ish. However, when Moore's on the field, I think he gives it his all. I think he just simply states like, hey, you know what? I'm a football player and I love football and I'm going to play balls out. So I'm not going to, unless I see it on tape, which I have not so far. I have not seen, obviously the game happened live. We're doing stories and stuff. So I've not reviewed the tape from today and how many reps he got and how effective he was in those reps in terms of actually playing hard. I'm not going to question that. So I see it. But at this point, everything I understand about him is he is playing his heart out, but we will see and see how that's going to go. Eugene here. Hello, all. It looks like the AFC East is going to be the division in the NFL. Yeah, I mean, the division is spectacular right now. We have DJ Bieneme, our former New York colleague, said that 3 teams from the AFC East may make the playoffs, and very much so. I mean, the AFC East is the division I think people thought the AFC West would be, if we want to put it in that way. And again, the Jets and Bills have the same amount of wins. If the Jets would have beat New England like they should have last week, the Jets would be in sole possession of first place in the AFC East. Everything is in front of the Jets. They can get whatever they want. I can't remember. Like, people at 5-3 after the Jets lost to the Patriots last week. It just shows you the emotional roller coaster that all of this is. People said the season's over for the Jets. Fraudulent team. See, that's what crappy teams do. They blow it against the Patriots. I'm like, people, we're 5-3. Shut the flip up. Like, what are we talking about here? And I'm glad that the Jets came out emphatically and beat the Buffalo Bills. So, you know what? Like, just suck it, man. But yeah, to your question, yeah, the division looks spectacular. I mean, it looks awesome. No question. Ragnar Jet, Wilson to Wilson. Some mid-distance lasers to Garrett. Also, sweet throwing one-hander in the end zone with the defender Dre Donham. Too bad out of bounds. J-Rob, Michael Carter, legit duo, extra yardage gains. Yeah, the Garrett Wilson, just no nonsense, just not even think about it. Like, just catch him like, what the hell? It was out of bounds, of course, but that Wilson to Wilson connection is cooking. I know it started off a little weird when Zach Wilson just came back and trying to figure him out. And I think Zach Wilson actually admitted it in a interview at his locker, saying, Garrett Wilson does so much wiggle and stuff that, like, he's going to fake me out when I'm throwing the ball, maybe picked or something. He didn't say that, but like, now I'm like paraphrasing what he said and then inserting my own comments. Like, if Garrett Wilson does like a free willy shake to the left and he was supposed to go to the right, like, just kind of figuring each other out and more reps, that's naturally going to happen. So yeah, that Wilson to Wilson connection is spectacular. He's a freak. And again, I think he's also tough as nails, just to say that. He's had so many injuries, boo-boos, whatever you want to call them, nicks and bruises this year. He's gotten lit up pretty good. And then he just like kind of dusts himself off, sucks some water, and he's back out there on the field. So he's a tough guy. And I think, quite frankly, that's something I think the team can rally around. James Luongo, as a 50-year Jets fan, thank you for your dedication, James. Always wanted competitive football. We have that and more. Let's go Jets, 100%. And I think there was a lot of people, and I'm not saying you were this person, James. There was a lot of Jet fans heading into this week, and it disgusted me that Jet fans are saying, help, but we have a competitive loss against Buffalo. And what a loser's mentality that is. And I loved how the Jets responded this week when saying, hey, is this a chance for a statement win? They're like, no, we could beat these guys. Zach Wilson had that quote. The guys in the locker room believe. Like, this may surprise a lot of people on the outside, Robert Sauer said, in terms of the Jets beating the Bills, but not to us. We knew we could win this game, and we went and did it. Like, that's the confidence you should have, the swag. Like, Jet fans, I know that you have battle scars. I'm one of you, for Pete's sake. That you've had battle scars from all the times the Jets have let you down in the past, but don't put those past baggage on the current Jets. This is a new era, a new Jets team. Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas, and this crop of talented players on this gosh darn team. This is a new team. So forget all the stuff from the past. Enjoy the season right now. Embrace what this special team is doing right now. And who knows what more is to be done, for sure. Steven, Paul, I think it was a perfect gameplay called by Mike LaFleur. They're pretty even on pass and run plays. 100%. Yeah, I thought it was a well-balanced game in terms of just live reacting to it and seeing what they did. They had let me pull this up. They had 34 carries and 25 pass attempts. And Zach Wilson admitted actually on the final drive for the Jets going down the field that a lot of those were RPO options, but he said, man, we're running the football down their throat. And the offensive line saying, yeah, let's keep running it, baby. So he just kept doing it because that was best for the team. He said, I could have thrown it, but man, we were running it. Let's go. So I think some of that can be skewed. Robert Sauer said that last week from people that say, oh, wow, they need to run more. Oh, man, they need to pass more. Like, a lot of those are RPO options. So it could go one way or the other based on whatever Zach Wilson is seeing. But I thought it was a very well-called game from Mike LaFleur. Finally, a freaking 3rd and short. He goes QB sneak and they get it. Like, thank goodness. I mean, for Pete's sake, awesome. I really don't like all the shotgun stuff on 3rd and short and 4th and short. To me, that's kind of dumb. Again, it worked out with the Uzama kind of naked out there on the 4th down, which was great. They went for the fake punt. Ashton Davis, I told you guys, him being that gunner, he is a freaking track athlete. Great call from the Jets. That was after, the questionable, I believe there was a Uzama quasi. Did he catch it? Was it intercepted? And they called it mutual, which goes to the offense. And then they quickly ran a quick play to try to make sure that the Bills didn't challenge it. To me, I think it looked like an interception, but mutual catch goes to the offense. Jet fans should know that. or should remember that from that Jets-Packers game a bunch of years ago where the Packers won 9-0 in MetLife, and there was 2 simultaneous offensive possessions that should have been just catches for the Jets offense, but they were ruled interceptions, so the refs blew that twice in that game. I'll never forget that. So the Jets didn't get the benefit of the doubt in that scenario. They did this time, and they ran it, and then they went for the fake after it, and beautifully called by Brant Boyer, one of the best special teams coordinator in the business, for sure. But great game plan by him. Let's see. Winning teams focus on the Andrew here. Let me pull that one up. Winning teams focus on the season, not the off season, which again feels great. We'll have plenty of time for off season when checks notes. We get to the gosh darn off season. So who cares about the draft right now? Still 8 games this season from Timothy. You're damn right. Andrew, Mosley played all contact today, I'm assuming is what you mean. But the contract, who would have thought the first year getting injured all year, second year opt out? A lot of people said, boy, the CJ Mosley contract, another terrible contract. And CJ Mosley has been the leader for this. So this win it felt good and really good from there. Let's see. Bye week is good for smack talk only. It's good for anything and everything and chilling. I don't even know what I'm going to do next weekend. Just kick my feet up and just enjoy life, I guess. It's going to be nice, though, because normally we're going into a bye week on a loss, and we're like, oh, boy, that sucked. What are we doing? What are you guys doing for the draft next year? And, so we didn't have to, which was good. Let's see. Jets-Vikings would be epic. Minnesota Jets fan. Minnesota Jets fan? What the hell? I'll need a further explanation on that, Minnesota Jets fan on YouTube. That's a weird pairing. Super Bowl, that's right, Randia. Super Bowl time. Let's get it. That's nice. Let's see. Vikings will kill the Jets. That's another receipt we got to keep. Randia, that final drive was awesome. It sure was. It was spectacular. It felt good to impose their will. Randia. Seattle looks like a tough one. Yeah, that one's in Seattle. Yeah, let's pull up the Jets schedule here. That one's in Seattle, so let's pull it up. So the Jets are 6-3. They're in good shape. Actually, I'll share the screen so we guys can all look at it together. Let's pull this up. We'll be on here for a few more minutes as we're wrapping up here. So you got it on the left side of our screen here. So we got at New England after the bye. And again, I think the Jets got to win that game. You got to even it out. Split with New England. They're not great. Chicago, that one looks a lot tougher. At least that one's at home. I believe that's when Revis goes in. The Jets have blown. So they had Nick Mangold in for the Bengals game. They lost that one. And what was the other one? Was that Patriots? Yeah, was that Patriots where Brick went in? Like Brick and Mangold both went in. Those were losses. So we have a bad streak of like honoring our players, but the Bears one I'm pretty sure is Revis. So let's try to win that for him for Pete's sake. But that one looks tough for Justin Fields running all over the place. So Patriots, I want to win that one. And then you're at 7-3. I think you could beat the Bears. The Bears are not very good. So you're at 8-3. And then we were at 8-3, of course, in 2008. And then the Jets blew it. They went 1-5 down the stretch, or 1-4, down the stretch, finished 9-7, missed the playoffs. So that should be a constant reminder. I know different teams and things of that nature, but that should be a constant reminder of you can never count your chickens before they hatch. So you just kind of enjoy the season. Vikings, I don't think are as good as their record indicates, but they're good. And you have those back-to-back road games. Buffalo's obviously going to be pissed on December 11th. You have Minnesota on the 4th. And then you see that Lions game. Lions look god-awful. I think they beat the Packers today, but awful. Jaguars, Thursday Night Football, awful. But then you have Seattle. It's tough. East Coast, West Coast, Geno Smith revenge game. And then Miami in South Beach. At least you won't have to deal with the weather, of course, at the end of the season. So that should be nice. But yes, 100%. I like it. Seattle does look like a toughie, but we'll see. They got Kenneth Walker's a really good running back, and I think as well. Greg and Newland, Paul, your Twitter video was classic. Suck it. We're good. Oh, yeah, we are. And by the way, guys, I did a YouTube short for the first time. Like, I heard that was a thing, but we just put our first one up. It was the Jets instant reaction video I started this show with. If you guys want to see it, I was kind of raw emotionally there. So, Greg, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Yeah, it felt good because I heard so many people squawking about this Jets team not being quite what people thought they were. So it just felt awesome. It freaking felt awesome to be able to, just get that validation. Again, the Bills are really good. They're spectacular. I'm not going to hide that. They're really good. And the Jets beat them. And that should make us all feel pretty good. Guys, thanks for tuning in to an awesome freaking post-game show. We'll be back on the show tomorrow. Again, like the video on YouTube, hit subscribe. Again, you see the scrolling ticker. It's youtube.com/boygreen25. We'll be on live tomorrow with a Q&A after the Robert Saleh presser with my Jets insider, Will Parkinson. We'll get you ready for the bye week, look ahead, talk about a few items here or there. Of course, we'll be looking at playoffs and some of that action as well here on the show. So, guys, thanks for supporting. This is a magical season. Buckle your gosh darn seatbelts because we've got a great place to go. We're only going to go higher from here, and it's JETS, 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 taking out the Buffalo Bills for perhaps their biggest win since the 2016 overtime winner, and really one of their biggest wins in a long time. Not just beating a good team where Robert Saleh has pelts on the wall like Cincinnati and Tennessee, but now he has a pelt on the wall with the Jets being good and dominating, and we'll see where it goes from here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you on the show tomorrow. Thanks, and peace out, and enjoy this Jets dub, baby. Woohoo!